I do love Dig Dug.
It is a classic.
Yeah.
I always find it quite horrific to actually think about what's going on in it, though.
No, it doesn't. Do not think about it.
Just don't
What
think
is that guy doing?
Never remake that game with realistic graphics.
I mean, what is he doing? He's just going down to murder weird creatures.
It's reverse Sonic. You know, you don't rescue them. You murder them.
Horribly. You
Yeah.
inflate them till they explode.
Yeah, and everyone said it was Doom that was going to like rot our brains. I think it was quite clearly Dig Dug that was doing it. Hey, I'm TristaBytes with Antstream Gaming Talk, and today I have with me the legend, the one and only Ashens.
Thank you very much. Hello.
I like that, the royal wave as well. Hello.
Yes. I haven't broken my wrist, honest.
One is pleased to meet one's adoring crowds. So probably a lot of you know who Ashens is, but generally a legend of the retro gaming scene, purveyor of tat.
That bit's true.
That would be a good description. And your YouTube channel, of course, is one of the foremost ones on tat.
Yes. It's not a big area.
I don't feel like I'm selling it particularly for you.
It's not really possible to do that, but thank you for trying.
I have tried. It is very, very good. That is the main thing we need to get here. And also you've made a couple of movies around gaming as well. And I want to know, how did this all start? What was the first ever game you played? What drew you to gaming?
So my sister tells me when I was very young, I would hang off the Pac-Man machine in pubs and was sort of obsessed with seeing things on the screen that you could maybe control and influence.
So literally hanging off it?
I think, yeah. It was not the joystick. That would be bad. I was very obsessed with that kind of thing and obviously was never allowed to play them. Just put 10p's into it and that's not happening. I had to earn my own 10p's through various grafts. But yes, then I can remember a cousin had a Commodore 64. I was immensely impressed by Bruce Lee on it. Somebody else had an Atari 2600 and we weren't allowed to play E.T. I remember that.
Right, like you weren't allowed, not as if you didn't want to,
They
you were
complained
forbidden.
about it and it was left in a drawer, yes. And we played, I think, The Empire Strikes Back instead. Then my friends got into the ZX Spectrum and for my 10th birthday I got one as well and that was it. I've just sat in front of computers for most of my life ever since, making things go bleep.
Good thing to be doing. So the Specky was where it was at for you for that point on?
Oh yes, in the early days, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That was everything for several years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a good iconic design. It's got
Yes.
that it's a very stylish machine, I feel.
Well, I had the Amstrad Plus 2, which is a bit more like something that's dropped off a brutalist building than the sort of iconic designs of the early Spectrums. But everything worked. You put the tape in, you didn't have to fiddle with any cables or anything, everything's built in. And it was the only one available at the time, to be fair. So
Yeah, that is often, I think, part of these stories. Why did you pick that? It was the only one I could afford.
Yes.
It was the only one at the car boot sale. It was
literally
handed down.
the only one that was being sold in the shops at the time. But yeah, I don't think I ever encountered a game that didn't work in it. Because they always said there were sort of compatibility issues, but I never encountered them. I had a friend with one of the black Plus 2s, the later ones, and I think Thundercats didn't work on that. That's my entire Spectrum
And
things
they
not
were
working
gutted.
anecdote. Yeah, what a tragedy for them.
Yeah. So what were your favourite games on the Specky?
Ooh, I loved Renegade, the arcade conversion, which is somehow more playable than the arcade machine. I've never quite worked that one out, mainly by playing completely differently, to be honest, which I think is probably a good shout for them.
In name only adaptation there.
Yes, it looks vaguely similar. A lot of the Ocean latter day film licenses were amazing. RoboCop, spent hours on RoboCop. The Batman, the movie one was great as well. I remember the Untouchables being really good, but a bit too difficult for me at the time. Or I was just rubbish at it, one of the two.
Could
Probably
be both.
Yeah, I'm going to go with both on that, actually. I bought a copy of Jet Set Willy 2 at a car boot sale. The most amazing thing was it came with the massively multicoloured anti-piracy sheet thing, but it never asked you the question. So I don't know if it was like a dodgy copy or something, but that sped things along. But what a game that was.
Was the label written in like biro?
No, it was all genuine.
With just like a smiley face on it.
Yes. Jot, sock,
Totally
Wally.
honest,
Yes.
genuine gov.
And a big thumbs up, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it seemed that the inlay seemed to be real. I've never quite got my head around that, but maybe it was a weird release or something.
There were
God, that
so
was
many backup copies that people distributed via the backs of moving vehicles for these things.
It may have come off the market at some stage.
Yeah, cassettes were very, very easy to make additional copies for your legitimate collections of that you shared with your friends who happened to also owe you money.
Yes. I don't know what you're talking about, Bex.
I've never used Napster. Yeah, it was definitely one of those things. And when we were young, we didn't necessarily know.
No.
As well. We were just kind of like, does game work? Yes.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And your mate somehow got an old C90 with about 40 games on it. Yeah. Those were the days. But my dad didn't have a twin tape deck thing. So, yeah, I was massively low on the amount of games as a direct result of that.
Yeah, by a complete coincidence. Yeah, you just had a lot less games. Did it make you love the games you had more? You
did have to put more time into them, yep. And buying a bad game was, it was the worst thing.
What was the worst thing?
So it's a bit of a toss-up between the first game that I ever bought with my own money, but I didn't choose. For some reason of absolute idiocy, I just gave the £10 to my dad and he picked a game out. And he picked Cat Trap, Planet of the Catmen, which does have a cool cover. But unfortunately, it was off the back of a Crash Magazine competition or something. The game's abysmal. It just doesn't hold together. It's just no fun whatsoever. So that was bad.
The pressure of having to choose was too much, and you went to the nearest adult and then learned your lesson quite properly.
Oh yeah, he never bought another game. Yes. Say the least. I think the worst, though, was probably after Renegade, which was amazing. Target Renegade, absolutely amazing. I rushed out and bought Renegade 3. Renegade 3 is absolutely abysmal. I think that was sort of the time as well I realised that you can't always trust magazine reviews because the reviews were like, yeah, it's pretty good. No, it isn't.
Based
it's
on the cover art and this tenor I've been given, it's... I think there was definitely, we were very loyal to brands, and sequel game in that brand must therefore be good. But I guess it could have been a completely different development team. It could have been a completely different thing. It's just the same license, isn't it?
Could inexplicably have the character travel through time for no reason, which is literally the plot of it. I
can see the rage building in your eyes about this already.
So bad. It was really that taught me don't always trust reviews, and for crying out loud, don't get invested in a brand or something like that, because it doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, see, I was all right because I was invested in the 16-bit Sonic games. So, that was just hit after hit, so I didn't learn that lesson whatsoever.
Yeah, as long as you didn't play the Gamecom version or something, you were all right, basically.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I probably would have played every version and liked it just because. Because I was just...
Is there a Gamecom Sonic? I don't think there is there? I hope not.
Know.
I really hope not.
If there is, I've erased it from my memory.
Good. That would be the plan if it did exist. I'm sure. There's no way. Mind you, they had a Resident Evil, didn't they?
I mean, maybe it did, and one of us has built a time machine and gone back and removed it, and that's why we've got this weird, unsure thing.
I think it just didn't, and it shouldn't have done either. So I'm pleased.
That's the official storyline we're going with to cover up our time travel shenanigans.
Yes.
Yeah.
You don't know the horrors we saved you from.
Yeah, many other games that would have existed. Do you think games are bad now? We went back in time and erased some of the other ones.
Yeah, but we forgot Batman and Robin on the Gamecom, unfortunately. That still exists. So sorry about that.
And the movie.
And the movie. It's too much tie-in stuff, you see. Too much of a butterfly effect.
Yeah. Yeah, it was too difficult. Next time, maybe. Or there'll be dinosaurs walking around if we get it wrong.
The sound of thunder. Yeah, it could happen.
It could indeed happen. Dino Crisis, based on an alternate branch of the timeline we created by accident once Tuesday, I'm assuming.
I hope so. I've never played Dino Crisis.
What?
It's like Resident Evil, but with dinosaurs, isn't it? Is that my understanding?
No, that's a description of it. It's just...
Is it an accurate description of it?
Well, you're going to have to play it. I'm not telling you. You're going to have to play it and find out.
Fine. I'll bet all the copies of it are £500 now, though.
Oh, at least. You have to look for the copy written in biro with a smiley face on it. That's the one that you need.
Cram a cassette tape into the top of the PlayStation, yeah.
So, after you had sort of the Specky and things like that, did you go back to the arcades where you could play them when you were then tall enough to reach the controls?
Yes, yeah, we would go off to Great Yarmouth, which is sort of the local biggest arcade. Although we discovered if we went to Hemsby, all the games were cheaper.
Oh.
For instance...
Top tip. If you've got the time travel machine.
Yes, you will need the time travel machine for that one. I think now they have 3 machines, they're all broken, and they involve getting giant bars of chocolate out of a thing that falls or something, I can't remember. But back in the day, I remember Mortal Kombat 2, for instance, was still only 20p a go in Hemsby, and it was like £1 a go in Great Yarmouth. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a bargain.
Yeah. Oh God, we spent hours there. At one stage, me and a friend would drive up every Friday evening, and that was when Virtua Fighter had just come out, which absolutely blew us away.
Yeah, I mean, that was a game changer.
I mean, proper 3D, and it's smooth, and oh my God, look how smooth. Oh, look at. I mean, now it looks like, you know, the fighters have been knocked together from old cornflakes packets or something. But you know, at the time,
shoeboxes, cornflakes packets, and you look at kind of those figures that they made that are kind of polygon accurate, and how pointy the noses are. And
I have one of those actually, sort of as a memory of that time.
They're really cool.
Yeah, perfectly done, but oh, that was absolutely astonishing. And then you had other classics like Holosseum. They had a Holosseum machine. Nobody ever played on it. It's terrible. Don't play that.
It was just decorative.
Yeah, it pretty much was. It was like, oh, look at that weird hologram. Oh, I've played it now. Well, that's 10p. I'll never get back. Yeah. So it was probably 50.
The bitterness that comes through. Damn, you give me my 50p back. I could have bought a toffee crisp.
I could have played Mortal Kombat 2 twice and
had
had
10
10
many
pence
Freddo
change.
frogs I could have got with that 50p. Nowadays it's
5.
one.
Yeah, literally.
So can you tell me one of your favourite games of all time?
Ooh, arcade game-wise, Dig Dug. I do love Dig Dug.
It is a classic.
Yeah.
I always find it quite horrific to actually think about what's going on in it, though.
No, it doesn't. Do not think about it.
Just don't
what
think
is that guy doing?
Never remake that game with realistic graphics.
I mean, what is he doing? He's just going down to murder weird creatures, which makes a flower grow.
Well, they're just going about their business. They're just happy little animals, and you just it's reverse Sonic. You know, you don't rescue them. You murder them.
Horribly. You
Yeah.
inflate them till they explode.
Like it's the most horrific thing I could think of, but it's a very cute game.
Yeah, it's very cute, and as long as you don't think about it, that's absolutely.
So that's one of your favourites, murdering small underground animals.
Absolutely. How else will you make the flower grow? But God, I played that for ages because my dad used to go to this rod and gun club place, and they always had 2 arcade machines. But the Dig Dug one was like a permanent fixture. There was always a Dig Dug, and the other one would change. It was, I think they had Commando, then it was Green Beret. I think R-Type Leo turned up at one stage. But Shaolin's Road, oh my God, that's another game I love actually. Basically, if they were in that place, I really liked the games. They picked very well. But Dig Dug was
almost as if your basis of liking it was proximity.
Yes, I got to play this one. No, they did pick the games well, to be entirely fair to them. I seem to remember there was a bad one they got at one stage, but I can't remember what it was. Probably because it was so bad. Yeah, it's just I didn't play it. So
somebody was fired over that one.
I hope so.
Yeah, they went back to choosing good games. So Dig Dug was one that you
absolutely. It's always Dig Dug.
A lot of 10p's.
Yeah. Oh yes, and the best thing was, put your 10p in that and it lasted ages because it's a relatively easy game, especially for an arcade game actually. So you could get
quite
like
slow paced, isn't it? It's quite like chill when you're murdering animals by inflating them.
Yeah, I mean, what could be more chill? I can't think of anything,
What am I even saying there? Of course, that is the most chill way to spend like a lazy Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, dress up in a weird suit, go underground and kill some stuff horribly.
Yeah, and everyone said it was Doom that was going to like rot our brains. I think it was quite clearly Dig Dug that was doing it.
I blame Dig Dug 2 for that, just because it was a very confusing game to play for me. I'd forgotten Dig Dug 2 existed till just now, actually. Does anybody have any good memories of Dig Dug 2?
I don't know. I don't know if I've even played
Dig Dug 2? No. See, it just didn't make an impact.
And sometimes I used to roll things into kind of one, because I could only ever afford sort of one game, unless it was like Sonic or something. I could only ever get one game in each franchise to own myself. So my brain generally sort of went, this is another one of these, especially if the games were fairly similar. You know, if you're looking at sort of Space Invaders and Space Invaders Part 2, which is just, we had some cabinets left over and we like made 2 lines of code changes.
Yes, and stuck a big 2 on it.
Yeah. We put numbers on the little things that you're hiding behind, therefore it is a different game. And I think I've probably rolled it into one, same as I did with that.
Dig Dug 2 is weird. It's like, do you know, I can barely remember. You're like.
Are you sure it exists? And you're not just like making this up?
We should probably go back in time and destroy it. No, I don't think it was that bad. But you're like on islands and you have to like crack the islands apart or something. I need to go back and play it now. I have a very
either
loose
you're
memory
making
of it.
this up or I've just never played it.
I'm hoping it's the latter, because if not, this is going to be a really weird interview. Ashens makes up games. So Dig Dug 7, where
I
they're
mean,
in
to be
space.
fair, I think that sounds like a good idea for a live stream. We'll just make up sequels to games.
Like Dig Dug 14, right? That's the one you need 2 VR headsets simultaneously. Yeah.
I think so, and a Virtua Boy like strapped to your back or something.
Oh
you
god,
know.
yeah! Don't put it near your eyes. You just feel sick. Yeah.
I think I'm the only person that doesn't get a headache from that.
My God, I can manage about 20 minutes, which was about twice as much as most of the people have shown it to. It still sits on my shelf, being not used. I should probably sell that, to be honest.
It makes a good decoration. It doesn't take up loads of space. It's a very nice, useful, portable gaming device that's utterly easy to carry in your pocket.
And can induce migraines within 20 minutes. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Good one to give to your enemies.
Yeah.
I think so. So, love of gaming has been with you for a very, very long time, and it has filtered into everything that you now do as a career. How did you end up on YouTube? Did you intend to have sort of gaming and things like that as part of your career?
No, not at all. Came about completely by accident. Many years ago, I was a member of a forum for old video games journalists, and somebody spotted on eBay the original Pop Station, sort of fake PSP with a dreadful sub-LCD game in it. And it's about £5 on eBay, so I bought it as a matter of interest, and then just sort of stuck it on my dad's old sofa and just sort of talked about it for a couple of minutes. Filmed on an old DV cam. It's like, well, what do I do with this? Oh, I'll just upload it. This is in the days before Google Video even, let alone YouTube, you know. So I just uploaded the WMV file to, I don't know, putfile.potato or something, and thought like about 12 people on this forum would see it. But one of them forwarded it onto Beta, the big sort of creative newsletter that goes out on a Friday. And it ended up like being downloaded by like 70,000 people.
Oh my goodness. So you basically went viral with the first thing you did before we used the word viral.
Yeah,
and it was
much
something you bought because it was rubbish on a sofa.
Yes. Which just about sums up the rest of my career, really. But,
yeah, well, clearly you thought you were onto something there, and you weren't wrong.
Yeah, because I hadn't put my name on it or said that I'd made it or anything, so I didn't think it would go anywhere. And as a result, loads of other people were pretending they made it. So it's like, right, I'm going to do a second one. And I found a fake Nintendo DS, did a sort of similar thing. That, again, got a fair few views, but I thought, well, that's probably the end of it. Now people will be sick of this. But it kind of wasn't. So I ended up doing a third, and it got bigger still, and then it just kept going. And around the time of the third, I put everything on Google Video, because I always back the winner. 14 seconds later, of course, Google Video was disappeared, and so, right, everything onto YouTube. And I think I put up a couple of weird videos first before the actual reviews, then uploaded the old reviews, did the new ones, and it's just sort of kept a weird momentum ever since.
Yeah, things on sofa. Just sort of is your niche now, isn't it? You've honed a niche.
I'm Britain's foremost putting crap on a bad sofa for no reason person.
I mean, they say, you know, specialisation is an important part of success, and that's
there's
very,
specialisation.
very
There's
specific.
whatever that is. Yes.
Yeah, you're like the more terrible and cheap this item is, the better. I mean, that's one way of stopping the budget spiralling out of control. Although nowadays with collecting, sometimes those terrible items are actually worth more.
Some of the things I've put down, I thought, oh, I must do a video on those. And then you check on eBay and you're like, I don't think I can afford one of these for a video, let alone enough to actually pad it out. Oh, what I should have done about 10 years ago is bought everything then, because it was so much cheaper.
That time machine.
Yeah. I did buy a lot of retro computers around then. I'm so glad I did, because no way I could afford them now, not even.
Have you got one that's a particular gem in your collection?
Ooh. What's my favourite?
Or do you love all your children equally?
Yes, don't make me pick between my babies. I really like the Atari Zegs, the XEGS, which is like the Atari.
Unusual pick.
It's just something about the weird physicality of it. It's like all the Atari 8-bit systems, they just mashed into one thing and stuck a load of pastel buttons on the top. And it comes with a light gun, which I've never got to work properly, so you know it's a proper light gun. Yeah, it came with, I think, one of the old Atari joysticks, but in grey. Oh, it's just something about that. And also, I didn't play on any Atari 8-bit computers back in the day, so it's everything I sort of play on, it seems fresh now, which is nice. You know? Yeah,
that's awesome. So it's like giving you a second kind of youth of gaming by playing in the things you missed out the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. And at one stage, you could pick up the tapes really cheap for it as well, but that doesn't happen anymore.
No, not unless they're written in biro with a smiley face on them.
Exactly, yes. I may have a few of those, yes.
So Obviously, you've included a lot of these items which you were collecting anyway by this point in your YouTube videos. But also, you decided that one particular item of terrible gaming hardware didn't just need a YouTube video, it needed an entire movie.
Oh yes, absolutely. Basically, we got into a situation where I realised we could maybe make a feature film. We knew all the people, and we had all the resources. We didn't have the money, because I mean, who does to create anything like that? It was like, if we can just angle the money from this, and
you
all,
were like,
we
if we
sort of
can
work
just
this
get
thing out.
more like sets and layouts than just this sofa.
Yes, if we can expand beyond the sofa to perhaps a quarter of a room.
Yeah, a
Then,
doorway,
yeah.
a corridor, maybe.
Yeah, there's the dream. One day we'll have a corridor.
So why the game child?
I don't know specifically. I'm not sure where that idea came from, but it was very solid from like the very early days of it. In fact, I think we had the title before anything else. I think because the device itself, the Game Child, which is just a terrible knockoff Game Boy, simple as. I think it was a case of it's so ridiculous that somebody would go looking for something like that.
Well, it sounds fake, doesn't it? It doesn't
Exactly.
sound like a real product.
Exactly, because it isn't. It literally isn't. It is the fakest of fakery. It really is. So the idea that somebody would assign so much value to this that they would go on in what their head is probably like an Indiana Jones style adventure just to get this absolutely useless item was sort of funny from the off. So that then informed all the rest of the film, really.
It's got that very much sort of British dry humour that obviously you have in your YouTube videos as well, just taken through to more than just a sofa format, which is a big leap.
Yes, I basically do things that are either absolutely zero budget and look terrible, or feature films. I don't do anything in between.
Nothing in between.
It's either absolute zero.
People
or
come to you and say, will you make
maximum.
a mid-budget TV show? And you're like,
Yes.
no.
What?
Either it's
What-
going to
what
be on a
even is that?
Odeon Leicester Square or somebody's phone while they're sitting in the bathroom. That's it,
Yes.
nothing in between.
There is no in between. We are people of extremes. Yeah.
Did you expect the film to do as well as it did?
No, nowhere near. Especially not Game Child, the first one, because it was completely untested territory. Nobody had ever released like an actual film of 90 minutes straight onto YouTube, and the accepted wisdom at the time was nobody watches anything that's more than 90 seconds. If it hasn't got a cat on a skateboard within 60 seconds, nobody will watch it.
I mean, if you had included a cat on a skateboard with the Game Child, then you would have had a BAFTA.
Oh, man, think of the budget for that. You need animal wranglers. You need a cat. Never work with children and animals. It is a nightmare. But it ended up being watched well over 1 million times on YouTube. And it's like, well, it did last more than 90 seconds. Turns out people will watch longer form things on YouTube.
Especially if they are free.
Yes, that helped. That helped a lot. Don't get me wrong.
But it's now on Blu-ray and things, so
It
has
yeah.
spread beyond the YouTubes.
It has indeed. It is available now on services. I don't know off the top of my head.
Google knows.
Amazon and that. Google, probably Google.
The quest for the Game Child via
Yeah.
the search for the Game Child
That's-
on
you
Google.
have to quest for it yourself
Yes, it is.
by
It's
typing
the
its
first
name.
quest to
Yes.
prove you are worthy, is to find that. It's not just that Ashens can't remember which streaming sites this film's
Pretty
on.
sure it's free on Plex though, if you have access to Plex.
Ah. Well, it did so well, in fact, that it spawned a sequel where you
It
thought
did indeed.
you'd go bigger, not just
Yes.
in budget and scope, but in the size of the gaming item.
Well, it didn't go bigger in budget really. It's about the same, but using things learned from the first time, we made it look more expensive. The fakery of films is what it's all about.
You're giving it all away.
Yes. None of it's real. We just film it and pretend.
So you went from
yeah.
a fake product to a non-existent one.
Product. Yes, we went from a knockoff to something that doesn't even exist at all. The Polybius, the dreaded fake arcade machine that I think somebody came up with to try and like drive traffic towards an arcade. I can't even.
No, it
nobody
was real.
seems 100%
It was
on
mind
that.
programming,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
people
yes.
thought it could control your brain
Yes,
if you
it's-
found it, and then the government
yeah.
took all the machines away. And
The big gaming urban legend.
Yeah.
Yep, with various details added by
but
other
now
people.
you found it
along the way.
now, so I mean, you know,
Yeah.
solved.
Yeah, it turns out it was in Brundle, so that was easy.
Yeah, I mean, no one thought to look there.
No, well, why would you, to be fair, you know. But yeah, that was an experience. I wanted to do, well, I say I, it was more than one of us, me and director and co-writer Riyadh would like heist films. Everybody likes heist films. So right, it's going to be a heist. It's going to be a heist for the Polybius machine. Not realising perhaps fully just how complicated it is to write a bloody heist. We end up having to have these massive flow charts so that everything leads into each other and you don't end up with any sort of plot holes. And every single heist film we watched in preparation for it has some sort of major plot hole or thing that doesn't make sense.
You sorted that out with the inclusion of lawnmower fandoms.
Yes,
that
helped.
Seemed to be the way you made sure that everything would make perfect sense. Would be like, it's about finding a mythical gaming arcade machine that controls minds. So what makes sense as the B plot? Some people that really like lawnmowers.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that filled in all the plot holes with grass cuttings.
It neatly went over the top and smoothed out all of the rough edges of the lawn, the plot lawn.
So, yes, there is a subplot about somebody who likes lawnmowers a bit too much. Incredibly based on real events.
Well,
People don't realise
that.
this. Yep. That was somebody Riyadh worked with, and he was talking to him once and said, "Oh, I collect things. Oh, what do you collect? Lawnmowers." Lawnmowers, interesting. Oh yeah, and then started showing him just like this big garage, just full of different lawnmowers he had.
I mean, I guess it's no weirder than cars. They're slightly smaller. Yeah. You need a slightly smaller
much cheaper
garage.
Than cars, certainly.
Yeah.
You don't have to insure them the same way. But yeah, collecting lawnmowers. No matter what you look into, there's going to be somebody who collects them, aren't there?
Yeah, and I don't think anything is really weirder than anything else. And as someone who professionally collects tat and things from Poundland, are you best placed to pass judgment on the lawnmower
well, yes,
collectors?
obviously.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, tat is great, lawnmowers are weird. That's just
right,
obvious.
Okay, good. I'm glad we've tidied that up.
Yeah,
because otherwise that could be a bit awkward.
Yeah, no, not happening.
Definitely.
Self-evident, yeah.
So people are clamouring already because making 2 feature movies is, not enough for another one.
Well, they're going to have to wait a bit because it takes ages and it's really expensive.
There we go. You heard it here first. It takes ages and it's really expensive.
You probably knew that bit.
It's not off the cards. That is the main thing.
We will get to work at least conceptually on it at some stage soon.
Yeah, it'll have to be another bigger item. So either I don't know, a Daytona cab
or Xbox
something.
Power supply. The biggest item in gaming.
It's certainly the heaviest.
We have to go off to a special Russian manufacturer to have a huge machine to lift it. Like that,
yeah, there we go. Giving away plot spoilers here, definitely. So hopefully we'll get to see those as well, and some more books as well. How many books have you got out now?
I've written 2. Yeah, terrible old games you've probably never heard of. Partially inspired by Renegade 3, and the sequel Attack of the Flickering Skeletons.
That's the one I've got with the lenticular flickery cover.
We did a lenticular cover for that, which is such a pain in the bum. There's only like one factory in the world that still makes lenticular stuff.
Next one needs a hologram cover.
Holographic,
oh, like a Visionary's toy,
Oh, that's not going to happen. That'd put the price up too much.
Damn it. Stretch goal.
Yes, that'd have to be like the special collector's one.
Yeah, watch out on Ashens' social media in case I pester him to make a stretch goal on the next book for a holographic cover. But just of like an 8-bit thing, like the skeletons, is like the least impressive hologram ever.
I love the lenticular colour for flickering skeletons because the skeletons actually flicker. Yeah. They actually look like they do in the game.
It is legitimately achieved the goal there. But they are very, very good.
But it was those writing those books that meant I had to get the original hardware, because there's always that problem of you might be playing a really bad old game through emulation or something, and people say, well, I think you'll find that's just an emulation problem, and actually the game's great. And I can just go, no, I played it all on the original hardware. It's awful, go away.
Or it could be the opposite thing. As well, it could be that the people that made the emulation fixed
oh my God, yes, they put a little patch in it so they stop the skeletons flickering. That would be awful.
Yeah, and then you'd have completely the wrong idea about it. Like someone should do that. Somebody should make like a version of ET, and just patch
every time
it and
you load
share
it
it over emulation, and just make like a really good game out of it and just trick an entire generation.
An anti-emulator,
Yeah.
Every game you put into it is in some way improved.
It's much easier than that time machine earlier, because instead of having to build a whole time machine, go back in time and erase games, we could just fix.
Just pretend it.
Yeah.
Who controls the past controls the future in the falsest of ways. Interesting. Now I can't be bothered.
That's fair enough. Feel free to use it as a B plot in the next movie, though. Someone going back in time to erase E.T.
This sort of deliberate Mandela effect. It puts so much disinformation out there. But that stuff kind of happens over time anyway, doesn't it? I think most of the people sort of under the age of 20 in this country think we all grew up with the NES over here.
It was kind of more sort of 50-50-ish here in the UK. But, of course, now after seeing your films, everybody wants a game child and Polybius machines, which are far more obtainable.
Oh, yes. One barely exists and one doesn't exist.
Yeah, the ultimate product placement right there for exclusivity.
Yes. Yeah, there we are. Buy all these products you can't buy, everyone.
Or just the, Poundland obviously needs to be your next.
Oh, yes.
The story of Poundland, third part of the movie trilogy.
Oh, the mightiest of all lands. Yeah. I can't imagine that they would be down for that kind of product placement, but who knows? Who knows?
You never know. So, thank you very much for talking to me today, and we look forward to the third movie in the trilogy, which will no doubt be not called Poundland in the States, where that means something very utterly different.
That does not cross the pond well, that one. Yeah, that's true.
No, but I'm sure you will find another piece of exceptional retro hardware to feature in the next one.
We shall try. Look forward to that in 2047.
There we go, accurately projecting the next date of that one. So if people want to, say, follow you on social media or watch you between now and 2047, and they're feeling that they want to buy that when we're in Mad Max times, where should they look to find you?
Just Google Ashens, Ashens, and that will provide all the things.
Google it 3 times and you'll actually appear behind them in a mirror.
Yes, please don't do that, because that's really expensive on the travel.
Yeah, so there you go. Google Ashens once, and they shall find you. Thank you again for talking to me. It's been great fun, and we look forward to that third movie.
Oh, thank you very much. Cheers.
No worries. Take care, guys. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.